Welcome back to Base is Beautiful. My name is MD, and today I want to show you my Rod Carew collection. For those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, you know I'm a Rod Carew super collector, I guess you would call it. I'm trying to collect every major Topps card during his playing career. I want to collect a few others of his cards. Not going to collect every single one of his cards that are out there, you know, in terms of Donruss and Fleer and every one of those. But there are a number of those that I do want along the way. And so I don't have an official checklist, so I can't say, you know, right off the top of my head what percentage of this is complete. But because I've had some big pickups this year, like you know, spoiler alert, the rookie card, but other cards of his I've been picking up this year as well. I just felt like it would be good to go through the collection that I have and kind of show off the Rod Carew cards that are making up my collection as it currently stands. So right here in the middle is my absolute favorite portrait of Rod Carew from the 1981 Donruss set. Now the 81 Donruss features two cards of a lot of the star players at the time. So I think Tom Seaver, Pete Rose, Rod Carew, different ones have Johnny Bench have two different cards, one featuring them well, it's not like a portrait, and there's the Rod Carew other one. He's batting in the midst of it. I wanted to say it was like a portrait and an action shot, but that's not true. I think that only applies to Mr. Carew in that set. Very iconic to me looking card, and there aren't any other, I don't think there are any of the same style of portraits for any of the other players in that set. So I don't know any of the history behind that card. Maybe I need to do a deep dive, of course, find nothing, but be able to maybe, you know, have a little episode or something about it. I don't know. But anyway, Rod Carew. Now, the reason, why did I pick Rod Carew? Well, for one thing, he's just a great hitter. And obviously, he's a Hall of Fame player. There's a reason for that. But I just love the fact that he's a contact hitter. And he's somebody who's always going to find a way to get on base. He's not a home run power hitter. And I feel like hitters like Rod Carew, even though it's hard to call him underrated, really, because he is in the Hall of Fame, so it's not like he's been neglected. But when people talk about, you know, the most exciting players or the players that people really focus on, they tend to focus on the power bats or the power arms, but not necessarily the guys like Rod Carew who could just give pitchers fits because they always find a way to get on base. And but to me, like that's a really exciting player in the game, and I wish there were more players like that. You know, I think of Luis Arraez in our current context. He's currently with the San Diego Padres, came up through the Twins, actually similar to Rod Carew, was with the Marlins there for a stretch and is now with the Padres. But Luis Arraez, I don't think he has the same kind of numbers as Rod Carew, but he is another one of those guys who just can grind out an at-bat, can always find a way to get the bat on the ball and the ball to find a way through the infield and to get out there. And, you know, before you know it, he's on base. And Rod Carew was that kind of player. And because he was an Angel, my collection centers around the Los Angeles Angels, California Angels, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, whichever name you want to go with. I like them all. Anaheim Angels would be one I would be in favor of a name change at some point. But anyway, here we are. So obviously the centerpiece of my collection are going to be the graded cards, but there's a number of other cards of his that I want to have copies of, but I'm not going to seek out a graded version of them. You know, some of these alternate brands, and then we get things like the getting the relics cards, or some of the batting leaders or other ones. This is a cool one from the 81 Donner set, teamed up with George Brett. There's the O-Pee-Chee 1985. That was his last playing year, although his last official card was 86 Topps. This is a cool one. This comes from kind of a Carl's Jr. sponsored local sheriff's department or something. Did a whole bunch of Angels ones, and this was after Rod Carew was retired, and so he's listed there as a coach. And this is a cool set, too, because there's also a Gene Autry in the set, and you don't get many Gene Autry baseball cards, and so it's really cool to have that set because it features some of the big Angels of the time. And so Rod Carew obviously served as a coach on the Angels team there for a while. Drake's. This is one of those, I guess people call them oddball cards. I always thought of oddball cards as cards that had something weird about them, like the big glove or I've showed the Steve Lake parrot on the shoulder, things like that. But I think when in common usage among collectors, oddball just means, it's created by a company or something that's not one of the main ones. Although actually Topps, look at there. Topps is the main one who put these together, but they released them through Drake Bakeries, I guess a Southern California bakery or something. So this one's from I think the 1970 Topps set, the Sporting News ones. These are cool, and these are, let's admire this one first with two Angels greats on there, Rod Carew and Mike Witt. I don't have a Mike Witt collection going quite yet, but I will pretty soon. So we've got some game-worn pants and a game-worn jersey. So all I really need is socks and shoes and a piece of a bat, and I'd have the full Rod Carew get up here. But this is from, the early 2000s, where these were actually officially, personally worn by Rod Carew. And same with that. They've actually got a picture of what the pants looked like. This is a photo of the actual pair of pants from which this swatch was taken. So I love those old relics where they could guarantee not only the authenticity of the piece, but actually that the player wore them in a game and things like that. It wasn't just we found a shirt and we connected it with the player. I've got a few graded cards that are just kind of not the main official release. And this is from the 83 Topps set, but I liked it. One, I found it real cheap, but I liked that it had early days Rod Carew with 1983 Rod Carew. So you kind of get this side-by-side of him when he was young versus him at the time in the late 80s. Not quite retirement, but nearing the end of his career. And then I've mentioned the 1981 Donner set. It's a set that I like a lot, and I am collecting autographs on the main set. And so I have Rod Carew's two cards from that one, number 49 and number 169 were the ones. And you can see I actually got these both from the same seller because he submitted these around the same time. And he had these along with, I believe it's the 1982 Topps. There's a little PSA run of 75, 76, and 77. So I'm not fully sure why he submitted this one, but it's a cool card to have. Let's trade that out. So let's Yeah, let's go backwards through. So I don't have I do want every Topps release from 1967 to 1985. Of course, I'll want that 1986 card as well. But like I said, he had already retired by 1986, but they still were releasing a card in the 86 set. So I'm sure I'll get a slabbed up version of the 86 Carew, but for me to complete the bookends, I need the actual last playing year, which was 1985. This is just regular Topps. I guess Tiffany had already started or was beginning in 1985. Maybe it started in 84. I can't remember, but card number 300 there is part of the bookend. And then let's go back. So I don't have 84, 83, but here's 82. And the 82 Topps set is actually one that I'm going to do. I've got a project going on the 82 set. 1980 was actually his first playing year with the Angels. And so that's an important card in my little run here. '73 Topps. So I'm missing a good stretch there through the mid to late 70s of his cards. But and this was a fairly recent pickup this year. Just an awesome 1973 card. More off center on the back, but as you can see on the front, looks really good. Centering. Registration on the printing has become something I get more and more ticky about. And I've seen cards like this that look pretty good, but there's something kind of off on the line. It's like there's a tiny little additional print line or something that doesn't go all the way across. It just kind of juts out there. But I found that one really happy with. I've showed this one before because this was one of the card show pickups here locally, the card show in Tupelo. But the high number Rod Carew from the 72 set, just another awesome card. I hate to say it, but I think a lot of his best images as a player on the cards were from his time with the Twins, not with the Angels. But, whatever. The 71. Beautiful black border. Really nice example of this card. The fun thing, too, about collecting Rod Carew is that apart from the rookie card, and, when you run into cases like a high number on something like that, I mean, getting these cards is not a break-the-bank proposition. So if you want to collect Rod Carew cards, I mean, there's a lot of fun you can have. And, still a Hall of Fame player and somebody worth collecting. But it's certainly not with the same price tag that goes along with some of the other Hall of Fame players you might collect. This is another recent one I've not shown yet. This is 1970 Topps. Getting some of these cards, finding nice centered copies of them is not easy. And you just have these ongoing saved searches, and there's plenty of graded versions of these cards out there. And you're just going through, just swiping through card after card after card, trying to find one that you feel like you can live with a little bit, even if there's a tiny bit of crease on the corner or something like that. To get, if centering is what you're prioritizing, which is what I've come to prioritize a little bit more in my collecting, at least, especially with the Rod Carew stuff, because it's all in an era where you you can, if you're patient and you keep searching for it, you can find centered copies of these. And there's plenty of graded copies out there. This is another one, man, hard to find centered. As anyone knows who's collected the Reggie rookie card, Reggie Jackson, which is another pickup that I've had. You can see a little stain right there, but this is a really nice version of the 69 Topps. Not a favorite of mine. I really didn't want to, try and spend a PSA 6 or SGC 6 price to get this card because, as you can tell, like the 68, it's the same image. It's just cropped in a little more and is a little more fuzzy, not nearly as defined as it is on the 68, but it's not a favorite image of mine. So I didn't want to prioritize that one in terms of getting a really super nice copy. This SGC4, well-centered with a little bit of a stain there, perfect for the type of card that I want in this collection. It actually has made me appreciate this one a little bit more, but, it's not in perfect shape, but I don't know that I'd say that it's undergraded, but it does present really well. This was one of the first Rod Carew cards, major ones I picked up, and it's his second year card, the 68. So you've got the big rookie cup on there, which is awesome. I think I got this from the Greg. What's the eBay store that sells a lot of raw cards? It's not Greg. I wanted to say Greg Miller, but I mean he's the Midlife Sports Cards. Anyway, I love this. I love this set. This is another tough one to try and find it a little more centered. Originally thought I might send this one off at some point just to get it slabbed up, but I think I'm going to probably end up selling this or giving it away to somebody and then getting just buying outright an already graded copy so I can find it the way that I want it. And but that's probably one of my favorite Rod Carew cards, just in terms of the image, the big rookie cup, the burlap border, just looks cool with this whole setup. I prefer it to the 69, although some may prefer the 69 look to the 68, but that's me. So someday I'll upgrade that and actually get a nice slab copy in there. Of course, those of you who've watched my channel have probably seen the video where I got this in the mail, but you can't show this one off too much, I feel like, especially since it's the most I've spent on a sports card to this point, and it's a big chase card for me, now finally acquired. Still got the eBay authenticity sticker on it. And then to round it out, I've got a couple autographs. Rod Carew, here's on the 3,000 career hits card that they featured in the Fleer set. You've got Rod Carew. Now, if you're looking for Rod Carew's autograph, there's kind of two versions of the autograph. I don't know if he has Parkinson's disease or if he's just getting more frail in his ability to write, but he still signs cards, and so you can still find his autograph on more recent cards, but it doesn't have this kind of free-flowing feel to it. It feels a little more jagged, a little more shaky, and I would actually like to get a version of the later autograph just to have both copies of his autograph in my collection. I'm not one of those who's just gonna stockpile duplicate autographs of players, but because that is my favorite portrait of Mr. Carew, I felt like when I saw this one pop up, I had to jump on it, had to get an autographed copy of my favorite card from the set, with his older freeform autograph signature on there. So anyway, that's another awesome card in the set. Boom. Okay, well that is my collection. How about that setup right there? Man, that is a Carew centered right here. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with this collection. I feel like I've made some big pickups in there over the course of the early parts of this year. Picked up the 69, the 70, and I think I had the 71 and 72, and then I got the 73 and 74. So there's still some 70s and 80s cards I need to acquire. Need to upgrade that 68. And just some other general Rod Carew cards that are out there, maybe some post-playing year cards. I've been looking at some stuff on trying to find some of the later era of tops where they might include Hall of Famers as a short print. In some of those, like the 2019 set, I think has a Rod Carew short print in there, which would be cool to have. It's not an expensive card. But anyway, this is kind of where the collection is going to be. And for those main cards, I'm getting them all graded. For some of those others, just a stack of top loaders will do me just fine. And I will be very content with that as I continue forward. But anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me for a little bit and rummage through my Rod Carew collection. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope you appreciate Rod Carew. I'd love to hear some of your favorite cards from Rod Carew's playing days, and or if you know of post-playing days cards that you think are particularly great of him, let me know in the comments, because I definitely want to know if there's something I've missed that I need to track down for him. So anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we'll see you next time.